Hey, what's going on?
What's up, Alex?
Well, right now I am making a drink of some quality G Fuel sour blue chug rug. Chug,
Sa-
chug.
Sour blue chug rug.
Yep. Let me see.
I will remind everybody that we are not sponsored by G Fuel in any way, shape, or form. So I hope they
Nope.
appreciate the free advertisement.
I just love it.
Well, it looks like we got a few bodies in here to start out with today. I see Colin and Marty are both in here right now.
Is
Marky
that
was
is
here
that
with,
heavy metal detective Colin?
that's Colin. He lives right down the way. He lives in New Albany.
Oh, you're right down the road.
Yeah, I think he called it a dog's fart away earlier.
Yeah, I know all of these accounts, but I don't know everyone's name. So I'm still learning.
So
And
this isn't
Marty's here.
who's that?
I said, and Marty's here. I don't know if you said that.
Marty Verstal, digging with Marty. Hey, Marty, how you doing, sir? Well, I think that's our. Well, so basically we've got a Louisville Cardinal, and
I
then
was gonna
we've
say,
got.
I think Marky's here too.
I have no idea what sports Marky would like if he's even into sports. He should be going out digging.
Well, he said he'd be in for just a few minutes. He was the first one here.
Yeah, Marty is a Chicago sports guy. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he's a Bears guy. I feel bad for him.
You know what? I think they're better off this year than they were last year. If that's where you want to start today.
There he is. There's Marky.
Yeah, that's cool, Marky. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on tonight. It's always nice having the whole Aussie group up because I like them guys more than I do some of the ones here.
I think Marky is my favorite foreign channel.
Yeah,
Foreign to us channel.
and he's always doing, and I mean, just where he gets to go hunt and dig, and he's always picking out these small pieces of gold. I think it's really cool. So you know what? Since Marty's in here right now, and feeling sorry for him for being a Bears fan, I think they'll be better off this year than they were last year.
Well, yeah, Mitch Crybaby's gone.
I don't think they upgraded a bunch, but I still think they upgraded at the quarterback slot.
They did lose Cordell Patterson to the Falcons today.
You know.
You know what? I would love to have him on my team. He's one of the best returners in the league, and he's so much fun to watch. The boy will catch anything.
So since we decided not to have a topic today, I figured I would leave it up to you to figure out where we actually start.
Well, Colin said when I first popped in here, he said, on tonight's show, we discussed Lamar Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater, Devontae Parker, and combat sports. I have nothing about combat sports. Like, I don't know where to start with that, but I can talk about at least two of the three of them. I really, really do like Devontae Parker. I liked Teddy in New Orleans. I don't really care for him now. And, anybody that's not Joe Burrow as a quarterback in the NFC or AFC North, I don't really care about either. I think Lamar Jackson will be broken in the next year or two, and that'll be the end of his career.
Yeah, so I think we both agree that his style of quarterbacking does not last long in the NFL. It's a very short-lived style.
Look at RG3. He came out doing the same stuff. He got hurt, and now he's the backup to Lamar Jackson. And playing backup because Lamar, had to take a potty break in the middle of a game. He got hurt, and then he got a concussion. Lamar got a concussion also, and I think RG3 played both of those games and the Steelers game when most of their team was out with COVID. So since you said that Colin was a Louisville fan, I can understand exactly why he likes both Teddy and Lamar, and probably Devontae just because he brought him up playing for Louisville. So back in college, Lamar Jackson was like, he's the it guy, and I respect him a lot more in his college days than I do now. I think he has so much potential. I think he has a good coach, but it's just a run offensive run offense that they have there. And so they're going to keep him moving. They're going to keep their running backs moving. It's just going to be a lot of that, not a lot of throwing. I could see, the Ravens not making it to the playoffs this year.
Well, when you say that, I mean, but talking about the quarterbacks with the exact same style as him, I can think of a couple of them that come through over the past 20 years. And you've mentioned the first one, talking about RG3. He got broken. And the other one that got broken was Randall Cunningham for the Eagles.
Randall Cunningham was awesome.
Yep. And, if they do not do something to increase their pass game this year, Lamar Jackson's going to be short-lived in this league. Because sooner or later, they're going to catch him.
Because they think – so they picked up Sammy Watkins, which, I like Sammy. I had him on my roster. And I like Buffalo, even though I won't be like Buffalo's my favorite team. But I have a Buffalo Sammy Watkins jersey. Like, I just like Sammy. But he's problem-riddled. You can't get him to play more than 5 games a year. And so they think picking up Sammy Watkins is going to fix that problem. Okay, he might be good for you for 3 or 4 games if you can get Lamar to throw the ball to him. Also, Orlando Brown is supposedly meeting with the Chiefs soon, which I would trade Sammy for Hollywood Brown any day because he at least plays a full season. I just think that's where their problem lies. Like, I think they have they lost a couple pieces. They lost Matthew Judon to Bill Belichick. They lost a couple guys on defense, but overall their defense is solid, and it's been solid, and that's why they are so dominant. Lamar's first year, no one, they should have saw it coming because of his college career, but no one saw him coming. No one knew how to defend him, so he ran train on everybody. And then second year around, look what happened. Everyone figured him out, and they learned, you stop the run, you stop the Ravens.
Yeah, absolutely. And, back to the whole thing is that, it makes me curious because, I know you watch some too because don't watch all the football games, but I know you watch some of Louisville when Lamar Jackson was there. And that style of offense he thrived in, but it was more of a pass-first offense. He has a great arm when he's doing things, but he came to the big leagues and it looks like he doesn't have an arm. If you ask anybody, that doesn't like Lamar, why they don't like him, it's either one, he's killed their team over and over again, so they're another team in the AFC North, or it's because he can't throw in the big leagues. He has one of the better tight ends ever, and he's the only target he throws to. I mean, other guys get catches, but not when it matters. So do you think Lamar's NFL passing game struggles is due to coaching, or is it due to something with his mechanics?
Honestly, if we go back to college, I don't think it's the mechanics because you can see, him throw 600 yards a game and also rush for 2 touchdowns, So I really think it's where he's at. And, they have been a run-dominant offense for a very long time, and that's why they keep picking up these guys like RG3, and they got Trace McSorley, which I was really sad that he got hurt coming in for Lamar in the mid-season playoffs, whenever it was, because that dude, I think he was from Penn State. He's really talented too, but every time Lamar went out and they brought RG3 or Trace McSorley in, they ran the same offense. They just kept them running. They had their quarterbacks that they don't start with running. And I'm like, wouldn't you think you want to test out their arm a little bit? That game where their whole team was out with COVID and it was like a backup team versus the Steelers. I think that was when Trace McSorley played, when he came in after RG3 got hurt halfway through the game. And, he threw deep balls and he almost brought him back and won that game. Not even the backups. It was like the backups were playing the whole Steelers team and they almost beat them. And it was because they were throwing the ball effectively.
There is Colin's question is, do you really think Jameis Winston's eye surgery is going to help? I think he'd had it taken care of by now.
I mean, did you see his Wildcat play in the playoffs? It was pretty sweet. I mean, that was a deep throw for some guy who can't see. I think that surgery helped a little bit, and I think he's under a better coaching staff. Nothing against Bruce Arians, and sorry, Rob, if you're here, I'm not saying anything bad about him, but he just didn't fit in there. He did throw for 30 plus touchdowns, but like I said, he threw for 30 plus interceptions, and I just don't think he was coached right. And I think Sean Payton, in that sense specifically, is a much better fit for coaching him.
Hey, Sonia, how are you doing today? Thanks for joining us tonight.
But agree or disagree about Sean Payton versus Bruce Arians with Jameis Winston?
Well, I mean, I think Sean Payton is going to be more apt to use him more liberally because of Drew Brees being there before him. Quarterbacks in Tampa Bay before Jameis Winston, and even what Bruce Arians had in Arizona is not the same type of quarterback. I think that opens up the playbook for him in New Orleans, right? Let him do some of the things that he's really good at doing. So, yes, I think coaching is going to play a part in that just because of what Sean Payton has coached the last 20 years with Drew Brees. I would rather have Drew Brees' playbook than I would I don't even want to think about some of the quarterbacks that Arians has had. So, yes.
So I have an issue with, you brought Drew Brees up, and so that kind of makes me want to talk about it. Oh, sorry that he ignored you, Sonia, because I don't think it was me.
I thought I said hi, I waved and everything.
Well, you were in the middle of talking, so I didn't want to be rude. But then you pulled it up so we could talk about it. But I didn't know if this was from your stream or mine, or this one.
Oh, I don't see a lot on mine, so.
I think she came from yours. I feel like because I was there, I saw a bunch of random names, but I saw too many names to count.
If I didn't say hi at the other one, Sonia, I apologize. It goes by so fast.
I told you it was you that ignored her, not me.
Oh, then it's my fault. I apologize. Thank you, though.
But back to the thing that's been itching under my skin for a while with the whole Drew Brees thing. I was really emotional when he announced his retirement, even though we all saw it coming. But, the older generations, like people your age and things, have seen people before him. And, I haven't. Drew Brees was that quarterback for that team for as long as I can remember. So it's really bittersweet. It was the same thing with Phillip Rivers. And, my superstar Peyton Manning was really upsetting, being the fact that, Brady and all of them are still going, and he came in just shortly before them. But with Drew Brees, my issue is I get that Michael Thomas wasn't there basically all year. And Alvin Kamara can catch balls. But we knew that Drew Brees had a decent arm, and he still didn't throw any balls over 10 yards. Could you think of how much better they would have done if they could push the ball down the field like that? And they even had Taysom Hill throwing balls. So I don't know. That's where my issue lied. So I'm hoping this year without Drew Brees, which it's going to be real weird watching a Saints team without Drew Brees. I mean, we did it the last 2 years, because last year he had mixing up with some people, and then he got hurt. And the year before that, the season before that, he got hurt, and we had Teddy. It's going to be a real weird year, but I think that's what we're going to see. I think that's how they're going to change their offense, is they're going to try to push the ball further downfield per attempt more so than per drive.
So, question of the day, since we're right there right now, does New Orleans make the playoffs this year coming?
I mean, they didn't lose that many people. And, they were able to win 8 games with Teddy Bridgewater the year before. And last year, they lost a couple games when he was out, but not all of them. They won quite a few games under Taysom Hill. So I think Taysom Hill, if they're going to use him in the quarterback position, has a lot to learn in this offseason where they're going to be able to be together. But, with that double, Jameis right here, Taysom Hill right here, I still think they're going to compete.
Oh, I would say that they're a better than a 60% chance to make at least a wild card. I think Sean Payton's an excellent coach too, and I think he will get the most out of Jameis Winston.
I mean, I don't like Sean Payton, but it's I don't like Drew or Bill Belichick, but I respect them. And I actually was just talking to someone on Facebook today because I posted a meme about what's his face from the Steelers? What's his name? Coach.
Oh, Tomlin.
Tomlin, yeah. So I posted a meme about Tomlin. I'm actually gonna pull it up real quick because it's funny, and that's
Good. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and mention, hey, everybody that's in here, if you click down into the description, this is all brand new. We've not been on here but just barely a month. If you would follow us on Twitter, if you want to send any email or have conversations, a topic. Also, if you're a YouTube creator, click on the YouTube, the TubeBuddy link down there. We're trying to get a paid version of it for people that just download it. So download it there. We've also got Discord right now that we're trying to build an audience, and any little bit of help we appreciate. Also, if you don't mind and you enjoy what you see tonight, click the like button and also share it in your Facebook or social media, because I think that we have a chance to do something really good with this channel. Just need a little bit of support to kind of get the motivational factor up and keep us going, and I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the TubeBuddy thing, I would appreciate it if you at least click the link. But if you do download it, it's completely free. You don't have to pay for anything unless you go further into it and decide to. But there's a lot of things you can use on that program that are free. And I mean, I still have the free version and I use it every single day. But back to my meme. Let's see if I can get this up here and it'll look good.
Okay, I can't read it, but I can see
hang on,
it.
I'm trying. I'll just read it. It says, this guy may have never had a losing season as a head coach, but he lost in the playoffs to David Garrard, Tim Tebow, Blake Bortles, and a Browns team with no head coach. So I posted that today because, I love memes. You could post the worst thing about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bengals, the Reds, anybody, and I would still laugh about it. But someone started talking to me about it, and they were like, yeah, despite everything, I still like the guy, and I hate the Steelers. And I was like, that's fair. I don't like the guy, and I, respect what he's done. Like, he had a whole year without Ben Roethlisberger and injury, and he managed to go 8-8 with freaking Mason Rudolph. And so, I do put respect on his name, but my argument is I respect him like I respect Bill Belichick. They both have what it takes to be a good coach. They may be on a team you hate, but they still are able to get the job done with whatever they have.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I know that, but the funny thing about Tomlin is that every year you hear people calling for his head when he's continually taken stinker of teams and made winners out of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's because they're the Steelers. Let's be real here. It's just like Brady and Belichick, 20 years of that. It's no different. It's like you love them or you hate them. And even Steelers fans love them and hate them at the exact same time. They'll come into the stadium, all 40,000 of them, and they'll be like, well, yeah. And then they get through the first quarter and they're like, fire that head coach, he's trash. And then they get a lead and they're like, oh, yeah, Mike Tomlin forever. And then they lose the game and they're like, yeah, get rid of him. We don't want him in this organization. He's trash. Like, the Steelers fans are the worst. They're actually the worst.
Yeah, that speaks to the culture of the fans, and then the way the team is perceived by the public. It's either win or you're junk. I mean, and don't get me wrong, everybody wants to win, but at that expense, I mean, he seems like honestly the right guy for that team because he constantly puts up winning numbers with not the best offense or defense. So yeah, I just don't like the whole culture like that. I'm not a big fan of fans like those.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm not a fan of that organization.
You know what? Marty, I got to say that Matt Nagy has brought the right culture to Chicago. Whether or not he gets to survive, I think the culture is a lot better there as far as the team goes. I think they're trending in the right direction. Last year was a stinker of a year, but yet they still went to the playoffs. So I think you've got a decent year coming. You might be surprised.
I honestly, I think they'll have a decent year. I mean, their defense didn't change, and their defense is what saved their asses. And that I appreciate defenses on any team. If your team has a good defense, I appreciate you. So my phone just started going crazy. But I still think they could probably take the division, or if not take the division, come really close to it and make a wild card run. It just depends on who decides to step up this year.
We were in Pittsburgh just a minute ago, and I knew that this was we talked about this earlier, was gonna be one of the main topics of the day. And since we're early on, I want your take on Aaron Donald.
Did you ever get the full story? Was it a fight, or did he jump the dude? That's all I need to know.
All it says is that the guy bumped into him and he kicked his ass. That's what it says. But I don't think but it's just all claims, and there's no evidence to support anything yet.
I mean, I saw a picture, and if that's what happened, that was a big dude he beat up. I'm not saying Aaron Donald's not a big dude, because he's like one of those dudes you look at and you're like, but the guy that posted that picture, his face was busted like bad. And if it's true that he picked a fight, or he bumped into him, or he was shitty to him, or whatever happened, before I even speak on the behalf of Aaron Donald's fault, whatever. Before I speak on his half, I'm talking about just this guy. First of all, if you see a boy that big, why are you even gonna walk near him? Second of all, especially if you know who it is, why would you even walk near him? And third of all, why was he walking around outside of a club in the middle of the night anyway? Like, I'm not saying that NFL players, basketball players, baseball players, I'm not saying celebrities can't go out and have a good time, but most of them have people around them, so things like this doesn't happen. And, he's probably one of the biggest names on the defensive side. But why would you let this, this could crush your career if you just assaulted a dude for no reason. I'm not saying it will, because that dude's awesome and who he is, and we've seen a lot worse things get shoved under the rug. I'm looking at like Ray Rice and people like that. Things have happened, and it's just gotten swept away and people forget. But why are you beating up random people outside of a club? Well, who cares what he did to you? You sound like a juice head on steroids. Like, that's what people on steroids do. Someone touches you and you get mad and you beat the shit out of their face till they can't see anymore. Like,
first thought process is that, when we think about today's society, everything seems to be about money. So let's play hypothetical here. Said guy that got his ass beat knows that that's Aaron Donald, and thinks that if he bumps into him, talks a little shit, and the guy throws a punch, that it's a payday. First off, let me tell you folks something. There's a lot better ways to make an extra dollar than to get this shit kicked out of you by Aaron Donald. That is a big man. Second of all, I agree with your other point wholeheartedly. These guys go around with people. Nobody should let Aaron Donald hit somebody like that. That's why he's got his homies or his buddies with him to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen. And third of all, Aaron, to this I say, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you should not be at the bar or hanging around outside the bar when things like this do happen and people do target NFL players. With that said, going forward, I really hope that he is innocent of starting the fight or provoking it, because he's one of my favorite defensive players in the NFL, and I'd hate to see it hurt his career, especially at this point.
Oh, yeah, 100%, because, he's so much fun to watch. And if they lose him, especially this year, that's going to hurt that Rams team. I think they're about set anyway.
I think at worst it's going to be a couple game suspension.
That's true. Hang on. I'm going to find this picture. Let me go to my profile again. I don't know how to use Twitter on the computer because I do everything mobile.
Yeah, I have these things, but I'm not very good at them.
Yeah, I just need a. I think this picture needs. Well, here we go. Oh no, that's Myles Garrett. Just kidding. Oh, here we are.
Yeah, there he is.
And Wyatt says, "You can tell this guy thought he was gonna win the fight too. That's messed up. Yeah, I would rather do a lot of things than take that."
You know what? I noticed that that's his right eye. Is Aaron Donald left-handed?
Who cares? Well, hang on, I got a picture of Aaron Donald in here too.
I mean, the other side of his face doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, the other side of his face didn't look that bad.
Yeah, no doubt. Rob a bank. It's a lot easier way to make money and probably less punishment at the end.
I'm just gonna look up a picture of him shirtless. Because yeah, exactly. This is why you don't punch or you don't mess with big people. You want this coming at you? Like, honestly? This big man? Look at that.
If he's in the club at 3, if he's in the club at 3 a.m, he's showing off them muscles too, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. No one's gonna be like, you see that big guy? Let me just go bump into him. No. That is a wrecking ball. No. Absolutely not.
Oh. Yeah, I found the picture.
I already showed the picture.
I know. I can't help it. That is a big dude.
Yeah, no way, dude. No way.
Yes.
I think it's hilarious, though.
Can you imagine? It had to play out like this, right? Old boy sitting at the bar with his homies, his buddies, and says, "Hey, I think that's Aaron Donald over there. I think you can kick his ass. Why don't you go over there and give him a bump and see what happens?" Yeah, I can take him. I can feel it now. Because, but that's the biggest mistake you can make because that dude is thick.
No. That's my only response to that. No.
And you see that picture that he took, the shame in his other eye that's open. Hey, I got to show this picture because now the only recourse I got left is to sue.
Nah, like, dude, you asked for it. If that's true, if all that happened, you asked for it.
Oh shit. I just hate speculating, but you know how it goes at the bar at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You know how guys are. And everybody wants to take down the big man on campus. And now don't get me wrong, I still think Aaron Donald has some fault not having a crew with him, not having people there to look out for his best interest, and being out
at least somebody. At least one person, big enough to handle him if he gets drunk and tries to fight someone.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad decision making that went wrong in that. But at the end of the day, look at what we just talked about. He was in Pittsburgh.
He was in Pittsburgh at 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. I was going back reading. Yeah, no doubt. Colin says he's pouting to sell it. Yeah, I agree. Back in the 90s.
I mean, at that point, you got to. You got to fake it till you make it at that point.
Back in the 90s, the Bears players would drive through our small town on the way to training camp in Platteville. With Richard Dent got pulled over for speeding. Richard Dent was a big
by
man.
Our 5'2" cop.
Go figure, right?
That'd be like that's why I'm not a cop. I mean, other than there's a lot of reasons I'm not a cop. But one, being a female is just not in my favor, even though this country is trying to progressively get it to be in my favor. But being 4'11" and a half is not getting me anywhere in the seat of authority.
So
Being in the casino, it gets me nowhere. All right, let's just have story time to one of my favorite memories, messing with drunk idiots. So it was like 2 a.m. on a Friday or Saturday night. Everyone's hammered and walking around being stupid. And I walk into the high limit room because it's Friday or Saturday, and that's usually the most exciting place any time of the week. And I walk up in there, and there's these two drunk dudes, and one of them's girlfriend. And they're just sitting there. They're not playing because they don't have money. They spend it all on their drinks. And they went, whoa. And I'm just like, here we go. Whoa, what? And this guy was like, how old are you? And I was like, well, can you keep a secret? And he was like, yeah, I won't tell anybody. And I was like, I'm only 8 years old, but if you tell anyone I'm in here, like, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. And they all three were like, oh my God, you're 8 years old. Like, I said, stop yelling. People are going to hear you. And he's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. Just don't yell. And he goes, I won't tell anyone. And then he walks over and he goes, dude, that chick's 8 years old and they let her on here. And I said, I don't want to lose my job. Stop telling people that. And, that's happened like 4 or 5 times, but it's still fun every single time. That's probably the best part of being around drunk people. Most of it's terrible, but it's so funny. I get bullied a lot because I'm so short.
Yeah, well, you're not complaining about being bullied though, right?
Nah, it's funny. They're stupid and drunk and blowing money they don't have.
Right on. Yeah, at least you're not complaining about people giving you a hard time, because that's kind of how life goes. We knew we were going to go through the Aaron Donald thing. Was there any other highlights from NFL news from today that you wanted to discuss a little bit going forward, or was you wanting to kind of move on over into something else?
Not from today, but this week. Yeah. Throwback to our stream on Monday when you were sitting there telling me it was a stupid idea. The Browns did sign Jadeveon Clowney for 1 year, $10 million. I still think that's genius. Like, they offered him a contract before and he declined it, and it was like for multiple years, 50+ million. And I don't know why he declined it, but they should be thankful he declined it. Like, this deal, they got him on a steal. His last 2 years compared to his whole career have not been the best, but he did make a bold statement. He said if he plays all 16, 17 plus playoff games this year, he could win Defensive Player of the Year. And the one thing I have to say about that is, if you're lined up next to Myles Garrett and either of you guys are getting that award, it's not going to be you. Well, but I think this is going to be really – I don't like the Browns, but I think this is going to be really good for their team because everyone always has to double team Garrett. They can't double team both of them, so someone's always going to get through.
Yeah, no. And you know what? I just don't like the guy as much as I don't – it's not that I think that he's a bad player. I think that defensive line in Cleveland is going to be formidable. They did, the 1 year, $10 million is genius by Cleveland, because guess what? He's got 1 year to prove that he's good enough and stay healthy. And if he succeeds, then they give him a contract. If he fails, they send him out the door. You know what? On their part, it's very smart money spent. $10 million is well worth it to put somebody like that on the trial and error plan. I think it's probably fairly smart, and I do think that gives their defense a head up to the run game and to quarterback sacks this year. And you know what? Having one or both of those guys on your defensive line could propel Myles Garrett to being the Defensive Player of the Year in the AFC.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think so, because people are gonna face their defense and they're gonna look at it and be like, who are we more scared of? Naturally, the answer should be Myles Garrett. But even under a double team, Myles Garrett can get through. But then they could be like, oh, we'll double team Clowney this time because he got through on the last play. which will leave Myles Garrett wide open again because one person is not enough to stop that man. And, I think they're just going to help each other's year because they're going to double team one of them every single play. They have to. There's nothing they can do about it. They have to do that. And so one of them is going to always get through. Or both.
I know we don't have our proverbial Cleveland fans in here right now that we have, but here's the question since we went down this road about New Orleans with Jameis, do you think that one ad propels them up to being the potential favorite for the AFC North?
I'm not going to say that one ad. I'm going to say every addition to their defense they've made in this offseason thus far is why I'm picking them to take the division this year.
That's fair. I mean, as long as Baker doesn't have a meltdown.
Oh yeah, see, depending on Baker, but I think their defense can get enough stops that as long as they can at least keep consistently kick field goals. I mean, touchdowns are going to win them the games. But if they can consistently put points on the board at least every drive, if not every other drive, I think their defense is strong enough to be able to hold unless they just hit a really high-powered offense that's like unstoppable. Their 17th game they got added was the Arizona Cardinals are coming to Cleveland. And I think that's going to be one of those games that, their defense is going to give Kyler Murray a run for his money, but that dude's fast. And I think that's going to lead to I think that's going to be one of the better games that are non-divisional for Cleveland this year. And I'm not saying better games like easier to win.
And there's the freeze.
Baker Mayfield and their two defenses, J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones versus Clowney and Myles Garrett.
Your internet's freezing.
Oh. So you were frozen on mine, and I was not, so that's why I didn't notice.
That's okay.
But anyway, whatever cut off. But Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt versus Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, I think, is an excellent two edge rushers on both teams. Both have great offensive. I think the Arizona Cardinals might have a better offense than the Cleveland just because of their additions. Not saying their skill level because who knows what's going to happen with AJ. Is Larry Fitzgerald going to play? And if he does play, how well is he going to do? Because he is getting a little bit up there as well. They just got James Conner from the Steelers, which is someone we also talked about on Monday. And I think really they gave him a one-year deal. I don't think he's going to be there after this year. But I think he's just a filler for Kenyon Drake leaving. And I feel bad for their backup running back who I literally every time we talk about him, I cannot remember his name. I feel bad for him because he, for one moment, was like, yes, I'm going to be the number one running back this year. And then they brought James Conner in, and I know for a fact they're going to start James Conner over him just because everyone thinks he's great. I think he's marginal.
I agree. We're the other big talk as far as, sports news goes right now, and you and I know that it's probably going to go this way, but we always had thoughts that there might be another pick at number one than Trevor Lawrence. But they're talking about personality differences between Urban Meyer.
Hang on before you say that. Hey, Marty, thanks for coming by. I lost my train of thought because I just started looking at something else and I have like ADD or something. But thanks for stopping by. It's always good to have you. I still am sorry that you're a Bears fan, but you're loyal, and so I respect that. And hopefully, their season is going to make an improvement from last year. But it's always nice talking to you, so have a good one.
See you, Marty.
Anyway, continue on.
So the biggest article that I was reading here recently, and it was talking about psychologically. Urban Meyer is obsessed. He is that type of personality, while Trevor Lawrence is very balanced and laid back.
Did you hear about all the stuff today with Trevor Lawrence?
I did not.
that's worthy of talking about. I don't have the full details because I got wrapped up in other things, and then I got wrapped up in your Ohio River history stream, and so I got a little sidetracked today. But basically, Trevor was like, with the mindset of, I can walk away from football any day. I don't even, he basically does not care that he's this big star. He said, I could play my first year and be fine and quit. He basically said that you don't know if he's going to be a flake or not.
He screams flop to me. He has for
and I just found out yesterday that he just got married as well, and I don't know if that has anything to do with his decision making and what he said to the media today, but it should make a lot of people uncertain about him. Really.
I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I think that the fact that he says that he doesn't need it is not.
Go ahead, look it up what he said today, because my internet is gonna make everything freeze. What's up, JP Lonzo Moore? Glad to see you stop by again. Yeah, look that up because I don't want to say anything.
Don't freeze. Unfreeze. There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything that didn't happen.
Sorry about that. I'm looking.
Sorry, I have CenturyLink and I live in the middle of nowhere. My internet is garbage.
I still haven't found that article yet.
Trevor Lawrence comments. Commitment issues. There we go. That'll be good. Commitment issues. Sound the alarms. Trevor Lawrence's commitment level now under scrutiny. So it says, former Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2021 draft, but recent comments that analysts and fans want put under a microscope, having him facing a bit of backlash as we approach the event. So he recently conducted an in-depth interview for a cover story on Sports Illustrated that they talked about his childhood life, his relationship with family members, his love for football, and his faith. And it says, in the article, Lawrence says that he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder and is not into making up negativity to prove doubters wrong. He said, it's hard to explain that because I want people to know that I am passionate about what I do and it's really important to me, but I don't have this huge chip on my shoulder that everyone's out to get me and I'm trying to prove everybody wrong. I just don't have that. I can't manufacture that, and I don't want to. There's also more in life than playing football.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a guy that wants to go number 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
told you this changes things.
I mean, yeah.
See you later, Marky.
Later, bro. Good luck today.
Good luck. Find lots of gold.
Yes, sir. So I think that this really opens up the door for what we talked about
for
before.
Justin Fields to go number 1. Yeah, exactly. Back to what I've been saying is that I thought it was going to happen. I think that's going to be the wild card. It's going to be like the whole March Madness upset, because people are putting sports bets on all this because they put sports bets on if the groundhog's going to see a shadow or not. This is a big thing, for a lot of people, not just those 2 quarterbacks, not in those 2 teams that take those 2 quarterbacks. I really think that Trevor Lawrence might end up on the Jets, have a shit year, and then go into retirement at age of 22.
Agreed.
I feel like that scenario is still relevant, and today it just solidified the relevance of that statement to me. Because what's going to happen? The Jaguars take the number 1 overall pick. They win 4 games this year. And they're like getting anxious about whether he's going to stay or not because he didn't win a Super Bowl, and there's no trade value because he's like, I don't want, so I quit football, and then they lost their first round pick. And they got nothing in return for it.
So he didn't have a pro day, right? Trevor Lawrence.
Not that I know of, but I was searching something the other day and it said Trevor Lawrence pro day, and I didn't click on it because I was like, I don't think that's real.
I don't think he did.
Because he was like Joe Burrow when he kind of stocked up the number 1 pick. He didn't have a pro day.
Do you think that there's the possibility out there that the man is tanking to drop in the draft because he doesn't want to play in Jacksonville
or New York?
Well, I mean,
I feel like the Jets are going to be perfectly fine if they end up with Zach Wilson. Everyone thinks that they're going to take Justin Fields. No, they're going to take Zach Wilson unless Trevor Lawrence is off the board. But if all this shit starts coming around about Trevor Lawrence, we don't know if he's going to play football for more than a year. They might be like, we make dumb decisions, but we don't want to make this one. And so I still think they might stick with Zach Wilson no matter who goes in the first.
I still think Justin Fields has the highest upside of any quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, this is the first time I will ever agree with you about an Ohio State quarterback. I think he is the number 1 overall pick in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that it may not end up that way, but I really think that he has the highest upside of any quarterback in the first round. I still think that Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase are probably and Penei Sewell are the 3 best players in the draft.
I just saw like this sports betting thing because on SportsCenter, that's, if they're talking football, they're talking about the draft. There's like not really anything else unless someone does something stupid like Aaron Donald. But like sports betting, it was like the best non-quarterback players, and it was those 3. And you know what's crazy to me is Devontae Smith just won the Heisman, and still there's no one talking about him. Yeah. I think he's a great receiver.
I do too. I think the fear with him is going to be the same fear as that came out with John Ross in the NFL.
Or Mac Jones. Or Mac Jones.
Well, John Ross, was in Oregon, and the Cincinnati drafted him 9th that year, and he was highly regarded in the same sentence as far as his pass catching and how well he played. A little on the small side, but very fast. And I think that there's got to be some comparative in there somewhere because he's not getting the play that I thought he would get either. I thought he'd be a top 7 pick regardless. And you froze? There you are.
I was listening.
Oh, you froze for a minute there.
Oh, I heard you though.
Oh, well, that's good. But anyway, we'll get into. Do you think that Devontae Smith falls out of the top 10?
The way everyone's talking, we'll be lucky if he goes in the first 15. That's crazy. That is crazy to me. That's like saying if you had the number 1 pick last year that you were not taking Joe Burrow. That's insane.
I agree.
Not only was he the Heisman, but he was insane. Devontae Smith is not John Ross. I firmly believe that in everything. Like I think no matter where he goes, whether it be Miami or Philadelphia, all these people hunting for wide receivers right now in the first round, wherever he goes, Detroit maybe. I think that's where he's actually going to end up is in Detroit, whatever pick they have. But I just think, so I saw a video making fun of the Atlanta Falcons today because it's very easy to do. And they said they were debating on taking a non-quarterback or a quarterback. And if they took a quarterback at number 4, they were going to take Trey Lance, which, that probably wouldn't be bad. But they thought they were, like, stupid for wanting to take a wide receiver. Like, bro, you have Matt Ryan. I don't know why everyone thinks he's so bad. Just because they don't win games doesn't mean Matt Ryan's a bad quarterback.
No, he's definitely not the reason why they lose in Atlanta.
No.
And you put the right wide receiver. I think Devontae Smith would be a great fit in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But no, they're talking about him taking Pitts or Chase or a quarterback. Who's that kid from North Dakota?
Trey Lance?
That's Trey Lance, yeah. Trey Lance is more mobile, I think, than Justin Fields. I wouldn't consider him a mobile quarterback, but he can move. I think he's faster too. I think his scheme would fit, Baltimore's like terrible playbook. I think he would do well in San Francisco. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars took interest in him moving on from Trevor Lawrence because I think he'd fit there. A lot of people were saying Chicago, but I don't see that as much. I could see more of a Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson for Chicago. Zach Wilson especially. But Shelby's on her way home from work.
Yeah.
But Trey Lance, there's a handful, and I think Carolina would be the best fit based off of their yeah, I mean, it is terrible. If you don't have any plays calling where you can throw the ball, then you can't win a game. Like, I don't care what they say. It worked for 1 year because no one expected it. But I think Carolina, if you look at all the quarterbacks they've had in the past, Newton, Teddy, they got Sam Darnold now, which does not fit the scheme that I put in my head for Carolina ever. But that's where I think Trey Lance should end up with the number 8 pick.
Yeah, I'm still on this wide receiver kick. The Jags are definitely going to take a quarterback. The Jets are going to take a quarterback. The Niners are going to take a quarterback. The Falcons.
When you get to the Falcons are the ones that are like, we don't know if they're going to take a quarterback.
They don't have to have one this year, and with what's out there available, I think they could put a pretty solid backup in play a young backup, because a lot of these guys are, not doing so well. So if I'm Atlanta, I'm going receiving core. I'm going to do something.
All I'm saying is look, they just handed over Sam Darnold, right? So what they could have done is took Sam Darnold from the Jets and got a couple late picks or whatever they got for him. They got like 3 picks for him, but none of them were first rounds. And let Sam Darnold sit behind Matt Ryan, because I think that is a good fit for him, honestly, more so than in Carolina.
Oh, for sure.
And then they wouldn't have to worry about taking a quarterback because they got a guy that's only in his 5th year. And I know 5 years sounds like a long time, but when you're in the Jets, it felt like an eternity to him, I'm sure. But you didn't get to progress it when he was in the Jets. He was out with mono for I don't even know how long. He got hurt this year, because of no protection. Sam Darnold has not had the chance to blossom to where he could be. And I think sitting behind Matt Ryan would be genius.
Oh,
he's already used to losing, so he's not going to be upset going there.
I think sitting behind Matt Ryan makes Sam Darnold a starter in a few years.
A good starter.
A la Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre. I mean,
speaking of, let's jump over to Green Bay real quick.
Okay.
So, first of all, we all know Green Bay is not going to draft a receiver in the first round like they need to every single year and don't do. So, let's just assume they're not going to do that. What do you think they're going to do with Jordan Love?
Jordan Love sits behind Aaron Rodgers 1 more year. After next year, Aaron Rodgers is on the trading block or gone next year.
Yeah, but I heard rumors that they might trade Jordan Love.
The only way that would happen is if they're not certain about his potential.
Right. I just think that makes things a little interesting too. Will they take another freaking quarterback in the first round?
I really hope not, because that's a waste of draft picks right now.
Yeah, because Jordan Love has talent. No one talked about him, but because he sat behind Aaron Rodgers all year, but he's got talent. And we have preseason this year, so we'll get to see him play.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that the likely scenario as it stands right now is that Aaron Rodgers will play with Green Bay this year and will be gone before next season. Because he basically said that he's not in control of his own future, basically, and then all the rumors.
Yeah, but that's what Russell Wilson said too.
Yeah, kind of funny, right?
I don't think it makes a difference when they say that, because Russell was like, "Hey, I'm not saying I want to be traded, but if you do trade me, here's 4 teams."
I think
all 4 teams fixed their quarterback situation. All of a sudden, no one heard a word about the fact that Russell Wilson brought up being traded.
I don't think that I just don't like Aaron Rodgers, the way he goes about things.
He's selfish.
You take all that money for your contract, and then
then complain about not having anyone to throw the ball to. And then you get other guys, and you still only throw it to one guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess there could be a sweepstakes next year in the offseason to give us something to talk about.
I just don't like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he chokes every single year in the playoffs. Every single year.
I am a fan of Russell Wilson. He's one of them quarterbacks that, that was today.
Who is Aldon Smith? I feel like I heard about that trade, but I don't know who that is.
Defensive line.
Okay. No, that's not their problem. They need to fix their offensive line first. That's the only reason Russell Wilson's unhappy.
Yeah, that was probably one of Dallas's best defensive linemen too, I think. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Oh, yeah, Dallas. If we want to talk about Dallas, they're going to be even worse this year than they were last year. I mean, they'll have Dak back, but their problem was their defense. Seriously. I mean, their defense and their offensive line.
I'm sorry, he's a cornerback, boo.
Oh, well, then they lost both of their cornerbacks this year.
Well, you know what?
One of them went to Cincinnati, so we know what they're drafting. But they have the number 10th pick, and I saw a couple mock drafts, and one of them I'm real happy about, which it won't happen. Like, it won't happen. But I saw one with them trading, or New England trading up for their pick to get a quarterback, which they have the 10th overall pick. But the one that I want to talk about, we don't have to talk about it, but I just want to mention it, is I saw about 2 hours ago, someone had a mock draft pulled.
You froze.
Did you hear me?
Nope.
Oh, I said the one I wish would happen, but it's not going to, is the Kansas City trade up to number 10 with Dallas so they can take Kyle Pitts. What a nightmare that would be. Oh. Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts, Tyreek Hill, Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman. A nightmare offense. They don't have enough defensive players to guard that many people.
Jesus Christ.
That would be so awesome. Like, seriously, if that happens, I'm going to do a live stream, and I'm just going to be running around screaming in my house. As loud as I can. I will be screaming. Like, I'll have it set up right in my living room by the TV ready. So all I have to do is hit go live, and I'll be screaming for about half an hour straight. It's never going to happen, but Dallas is kind of ignorant, so it could.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Anything can happen the way like I said.
I mean, if Dallas just needs a cornerback, like if that's all they're looking for, they could be willing to trade down.
Yeah, unless they're after a premier corner.
What, like Patrick Surtain? They're not getting him at 10, I don't think. But, I mean, a lot of these mock drafts have him going in at 16, 17, so maybe.
I think he's still there at 10.
I mean, I saw Atlanta maybe taking him also. Because, the defense was their problem. They got to fix it somehow.
Atlanta secondary is a big problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could go the 4th pick. That Isaiah whatever, that linebacker from Penn State, Iowa, somewhere. Penn State, yeah. See, I thought so. I was watching mock drafts and top 5 of every position on TV this morning.
The last thing I saw was, and I was listening to the local Cincinnati ESPN radio, and they're back on the Bengals picking up Penei.
Yeah, I know. I told you this Thaddeus Moss thing was going to try to kind of cloud their vision a little bit about Ja'Marr Chase.
Well, I mean, it's one extra weapon in the receiving core, and you're right. And what it may have done is it may have shut Joe up about having, his old, throwing buddies on his team.
I mean, he had 670 yards and 4 touchdowns or something like that in that season, the 2019 LSU championship run. I mean, that's pretty freaking good for a tight end, especially in college.
Especially with the receiving core like he had to get reps. I mean,
yeah, and the running backs he had, Edwards-Helaire and whatever that other dude's name was. It the other Moss?
Can't think. You asked me to go back 2 years in college, and I'm pretty screwed. Asked me to go back 2 years in college, and I'm pretty screwed up. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody who was a Cincinnati fan was watching a lot of LSU football last year or the year before. That's the only reason it's relevant in my brain.
Yep.
Also, that was around the time I got into sports betting, seriously. And so I did do college playoff bets that year.
And there we go.
They had 2 good running backs, and one of them was Edwards-Helaire, who Kansas City just stole in the first round, the 32 pick.
Take your pick. There was Tyrion Davis-Price, John Emery Jr., and Chris Curry. Hey, there was a guy on that team. Check out his name. He was a senior running back that year. He only had 13 carries. His name was Leonard Fournette.
Whoa, the irony.
Leonard Fournette, school running back, or school LSU running back. That's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just kind of ironic.
Yeah, how many guys? I mean, there was a ton that was drafted in the first round off of that team.
Bah! Yeah, it was like a record-setting year for them. It was 6 or 7 dudes went in the first round, and KC stole the draft.
Did you know that in that season, Ja'Marr Chase only had 84 receptions but had almost 2,000 yards?
Yeah, did you see how many deep balls Burrow was throwing? Because he could. These guys cut these defenses in half, and he could just lob it 60 yards in the air, and they'd catch it because no one was around him.
Ja'Marr Chase averaged 21.2 yards per catch.
That's what I'm saying. Joe Burrow made him look good because they played against bad defenses, or at least bad secondaries.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see why they would why it's thought that they may draft him, but it's down to him or Sewell.
Oh yeah, Pitts is out of the question with Moss coming to Cincinnati.
Anyway, you know what? All things considered, I'm happy with the moves that they've made in Cincinnati going forward right now. And your eyes are closed.
I agree.
Okay, so was there anything else in football that you wanted to hit before we went on?
I'm trying to think. I talked about James Conner, and I talked about Clowney. I can't can't think of anything else happened. We talked about Aaron Donald, which is freaking hilarious still. Still, it's never not going to be funny, I think. That someone would pick a fight with that dude.
I'm looking, going around my thing really fast here. Yeah,
I mean, there's not been a lot that happened this week other than draft talk, which I think we talked more now about the draft than we did when we did our draft stream.
Yeah, I mean, at least where it's in more relevant in conversation at this point.
Yeah,
Even
true.
even on a draft, a stream about the draft, it doesn't seem very relevant. You know what I'm saying? It didn't seem to work. It just didn't flow. Yeah, the only other thing that I noticed that is an interesting topic is Denver considering, with all the surplus they have at wide receiver, considering trades. Haven't really looked at their wide receiving core on who they would trade, but they feel like they are heavy at wide receiver. Other than that, Belichick says his draft prospects are different in 2021.
Oh, I'm sure he's loaded up his offense, really.
I'm trying to think who. So it looks like that Denver is trying to trade Deshaun Hamilton.
Deshaun Hamilton.
Fourth-year receiver out of Penn State. 26 years old. I hate to say this, but I don't remember much about him.
I remember the name, and, I remember seeing him play because Broncos, Chiefs, you see them twice a year. You know a little bit about them. But, they're just all terrible. Like, Denver is kind of just a dumpster fire and rebuild right now.
Ooh, that was weird.
Yeah, it's showing you freezing now, not me.
Connection is fairly good. Are you on Wi-Fi?
No.
Why did it say I was on Wi-Fi?
I told you yours is being weird.
Uh-oh. That was strange. I have never seen that symbol come up. Anyway, he was not a very highly touted receiver, although they have high expectations of him. He's not done very well. Of course, they haven't had a quarterback in a few years either.
Yeah. When do you think they're going to move on from Drew Lock, or are they just going to keep giving him chances?
I'm surprised it hasn't already happened.
I mean, yeah, but he has potential. He's just not getting coached the way he needs to be. Are you there?
It shows me on Wi-Fi. Why am I showing me on Wi-Fi?
Finally, it's someone other than me having the connection issues. Not that I wish connection issues on you, but it's nice not being me.
Why does this say I'm on Wi-Fi?
Are you back in black, bro?
I'm here.
Well, you keep going in and out.
Yeah, it shows my connection as being unstable.
We'll give that connection some serotonin, bro.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn my camera off for a second and have a look-see to make sure my cable is not screwed up. Hold down the fort.
Fort is being held. So, heavy metal, Colin, sorry, forgot already. I didn't forget. I just was reading your name off the side. But do you have an NFL team since I know you like the Louisville Cardinals. If you're still here. I don't know if I said that. Either or. So are you indifferent? That's fair. I mean, is it definitely a lot of people who are college over pro and pro over college. So I was just curious. I am trying to do better in keeping up in the college world. Like I said, just like a year or two ago, I got into sports betting with college football and things like that. And then this past basketball season, I followed March Madness quite a bit. I mean, I have teams that I like, but I'm not like a diehard of anything.
I don't know.
I'm a Colts fan, and Peyton retired, and it broke my heart, and so I kind of fell out of the Colts. You know, I wasn't an Andrew Luck fan, even though I should have been. But it took me. I was still fairly young, and it took me realizing later on down the road when he retired that it wasn't his fault. It was them not listening to him and him getting hurt and things like that, so I gave up on him before I realized that he was talented. But so I kind of just like fell out of the Colts fandom completely after Peyton went to Denver. And even then, it was still hard for me to fathom it because Peyton went to Denver.
Yeah, Colin, I kind of agree. Most of the pro sports are kind of shady anymore. I do like pro baseball and I love the NFL, but I will never argue with the competitiveness of Division I college athletics. Basketball and football are phenomenal in college, and it's easy to be hooked.
I mean, I watch football, any kind of football. It could be XFL, CFL, NFL, NCAA, NCAAF. I cheered for him because I wanted to see him do well wherever he went, but I like the Chiefs, and so that was really hard watching Peyton Manning kill the Chiefs. But I was happy for him. He just wanted to get a ring somewhere else, and I think that John Elway had a way in him ending up there out of all the other 31 teams he could have been a part of, leaving the Colts. So I'm happy for Peyton. I'm still upset, but it'll be okay. I jumped from Peyton to Alex Smith. That's kind of what led me to be a Chiefs fan. Is Alex Smith, and a lot of people are like, "No, you're just a Patrick Mahomes bandwagoner," and I'm like, "No, dude, I liked the Chiefs before I even knew who Patrick Mahomes was." I don't watch enough college football. I watch highlights and like top 10 plays on SportsCenter and things like that. So I've heard of a lot of these prospects until this last 2-year period. I didn't know who Patrick Mahomes was, but I loved the Chiefs and I loved Andy Reid. I hated him because he was with Philadelphia for a while, but when he left Philadelphia and came to Kansas City, that was another turning point in my loyalty to that new group of ball players. And then it just kept blossoming with Andy Reid, Alex Smith, and it just kept getting better and better. Then they drafted Patrick Mahomes, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Patrick Mahomes!" And I was like, "Who is that?" And so then he got to play one game his rookie year at the end of the season, and then I watched him play his first year as a starter, and I was like, "This dude's unbelievable." But to be fair, if you compare those stats versus his next 2 years, so last year and the year before, there was a reason there were so many bandwagoner fans because that dude was putting up some crazy numbers his rookie year or his rookie starting year. It was nuts. I don't have a Christian Okoye jersey, but I do have a couple cards. So I'm pretty happy with that too.
Yeah, talk about a guy that's loved by the organization and by all the fans.
Oh yeah, Christian Okoye is a monster, and Tony Gonzalez. A lot of people don't like him because he's on TV now, but he's a good tight end.
I do not know what's going on with my internet.
Mine just went out for a split second, but
it was the first time being hardwired that I've ever seen that little line come up on there that tells me that my connection is unstable.
Oh, mine does that every day.
Not good. Usually that's the one reason why I like being in town is at least I have stable internet.
I agree. I like watching Tony Gonzalez talk because even when he's talking about like games with the Chiefs, he's not super biased. He gives like still real honest opinions. And like, a lot of people like former Pittsburgh players, they're like, I'm going to pick Pittsburgh no matter what because that's where I played. And I'm like, no, you have to understand that some weeks are not their week. But Tony Gonzalez keeps it real all the time. And I love him. He's awesome. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Big facts. We have the worst internet. I'm so glad you're here now.
Yay.
Because we missed her completely last week, which probably added on to how bad everything went.
Yeah, last week just didn't work out that well. This week's felt pretty good, though.
I mean, yeah, we actually had flowing conversations that we can actually talk about and not feel miserable talking about them.
You did want to go into baseball a little bit today after the first couple weeks of the season. What's your takes?
The Cubs suck. They're getting, the one. Take back to our first live stream when Mark was in here, and he was like talking about there's no competition within the division and blah blah blah, and he was like, "Well, are the Pirates going to beat us?" Well, the Pirates have completely destroyed them so far this year. One of their games they lost 7-1. I brought that up on Monday, but I'm still laughing about it. I live off the high. I follow this Twitter account. It's called Fly the L, and literally the only tweets they post is every single time the Cubs lose, they post this. It says retweet to piss a Cubs fan off. And so they don't post anything else, just that. And so just fly the L, fly the L, fly the L. And it's just a picture of the Cubs fan the Cubs flag that has a W, but it has an L on it instead. And yeah, so I love that. The Reds, I still think they have a good chance. Did they win the other day? Because I know they're coming home now. Did they win that last game? No, they lost that game. Yeah, they lost all of them but one.
They won one game in Arizona, one game in San Fran, so 1 out of 3. So 2 out of 6 they won.
Hey, you know what? I'll take it. They won 5 out of their 6 at home. So that's still 7 games, and they're still the Cubs are like 4-7. So
yeah, they're tied with Milwaukee at top of the division, and they're coming back home. So, and they play Cleveland this week, which ought to be interesting.
Not only do they play Cleveland this week, but Sonny Gray's coming back on Saturday.
Sonny Gray will be back on Saturday. I don't know which starter falls off the rotation at that point.
I think Lorenzen.
He went on the 60-day DL today. So
yeah, but they put him on the IR, so they can manage like their roster. So him going on the IR is who they cleared up for that space. That's how they did that. I
seen where they picked somebody else up off of waivers too.
Oh, it's that dude that played from Colorado with the glasses.
Hoffman, the one that's pitching.
It might be Hoffman. I know he's got the thin like rectangle glasses. I'll see if I can find it real quick. Oh yeah, that Chicago White Sox dude was one guy away from throwing a perfect game. He hit a dude with a pitch barely, and in the ninth inning, uh, and then he struck out the last, or he didn't strike out. He popped up, and then the whole game. He pitched 120 pitches.
Uh,
Carlos Rodon. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what Shelby said right here. I forgot. I just missed it completely.
oh, what's that?
Right there, she said Carlos freaking Rodon. That's the dude who pitched the nearly perfect game. He hit one guy with a pitch in the ninth inning.
Oh, that's got to be disheartening as hell.
Yeah, you could see it on his face too. It barely hit him in the toe. Like he barely hit that guy. And that was the only guy that got on base.
Still got his no.
He did get the no.
So yeah, but anyway, going back, I still think that
I don't know who he is, but I know he's a pitcher for the Rockies. I'm gonna just go to my Twitter because I retweeted it. I can find it on there.
I know I saw it today somewhere. I was. What the hell? Oh, there it is.
Did you see the Mike Moustakas home run in San Francisco?
Yes.
It's pretty awesome. They said never in the Reds' history did they hit a home run into the ball or into the water, and in this series they hit at least 2.
Yeah, the one that Joey hit was a rocket.
Did you see that dude? I don't remember what team he plays for, who hit that 85-foot home run the other day.
Mm-mm.
Do you even watch sports?
I have the last couple of days. I haven't watched much of anything other than my pillow from being ill.
That's the perfect time. Oh, here it is. It's Philip Diehl, Diehl. Here's the guy's picture. You can see what I mean about the glasses.
Oh, I've seen him before, but I don't know.
Yeah,
him.
I watched him pitch like last week. Yeah, he said to make room on the 40-man roster, Michael Lorenzen was transferred to the 60-day IL. But this dude's from Cincinnati, and that's why he's playing there. That's why they picked him up.
Hey, yeah, have some patience there, Colin.
There we go. Yeah. Do you think the Dodgers are going to the World Series?
I would say so.
I think someone will beat them in the playoffs.
Well, I think
that's like saying is Tampa Bay going to win the Super Bowl again this year? I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year.
I hope you're right, but I still think Dallas has the most depth at pitching, even though
or San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Dude, their pitchers are nuts.
I know, but their wheels will fall off. That's the way it's happened the last couple of years. I still think LA is going. Their pitching's going to dominate. They've got more money than God. And
what about the Angels? The Angels are coming out of nowhere too.
Yeah, that's American League though, so I tend not to get involved in that.
I was gonna say you have no optimism.
I am optimistic for the Royals this year.
I am very optimistic for the Royals this year. They're doing really good. I mean, they have lost a couple games, but everyone's lost at least a couple games thus far. No one's undefeated right now, but they're looking pretty good this year.
I was having an internet issue earlier, Colin. It's seemingly cleared up since then, but we'll see.
I have CenturyLink, and I average 8 megabytes per second. That's my problem. And my internet works great until it doesn't. Like, the only problem I have is it's going to work perfectly. And then for like 1 second, the internet shuts off and then turns right back on. And then it's fine again until it does it again. Yeah.
Oh. I thought when you said that, I thought Jeff was in here.
Why would Jeff be here? I think he was struggling today because he barely made it into your show. And I didn't say yee.
Yeah.
I said yee. Just one yee. Like an excitement thing. Yee.
Well, the yee thing is yee.com. It's some.
No, Dad, yee is a yee-haw slang term just for every redneck person ever. They just go around and go yee for no reason.
Well,
I know there's a website, but this was around before the website. You should walk around downtown Vivi. You'll hear a lot of yee that don't know who that website is. They're just stupid.
Well,
that website's awesome.
The yee apparel.
Yeah, it's awesome. I would never wear anything on it, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. You got your yee.
Well, speaking about Jeff, which I haven't got a chance to really talk to him lately, he's had this on and off again relationship with his wife. And the last time I talked to him, he was like, yeah, we're done for good. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, I seen him on his live on Sunday, and he's like,
he understands exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. And then he was like, I got to go spend time with my wife. And I was like, I was sitting there, and me and Gene had discussed it because he called me on the phone and was pouring it out. And it was like, oh, yeah. Then, and then he's back with her again almost immediately as soon as they break up. So I'm kind of confused. Haven't had a chance to really talk to him about it.
I like your hoodie, by the way. I just like the color mostly, but it's a pretty sweet hoodie. Does that say Blackcraft or is it something else? It looks like it says Black Skull.
Black Skull, yeah.
With a C.
But it's spelled with a C.
Yeah.
I like it. Fits really good.
Turtle Man made up yee on that old show. You're right, though.
Yeah, I look at the yee stuff on their website. I don't see anything that I particularly like.
No, you don't want a massive belt buckle?
It's not my style.
Me neither. Shelby would wear it. She'd wear a big belt buckle. They're working it out, Shane. That's what I've gathered. Well, he just went off, so he missed that, but he'll come back eventually. Trying to think. There was something else I wanted to talk about. Also, Rob didn't show up, and he told me that he was going to show up.
Who?
Rob.
Oh, he probably fell asleep.
What have I missed today? Okay, well, we talked about the Aaron Donald situation, and we showed pictures of Aaron Donald shirtless and the guy who allegedly got punched in the face by him. And we both mutually agreed that, one, if it's true, the dude who got hit is a straight up dumbass. And two, if it is true, Aaron Donald should not have done that. Someone should have been with him, looking out for him. That was just ignorant on his part to be downtown outside of a bar at 3 a.m. And first of all, and then thirdly, we just said, who in their right mind would walk up and start shit with that dude? Seriously. It's just like racking my brain. Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. We talked about the draft. The only guy we really didn't talk about was Mac Jones, and he's trash, so who cares? What else did we talk about today?
We talked a lot about draft.
We talked about the Bears. We talked about the Saints. We talked about the Packers. Briefly about the Cardinals. We talked a little bit about the Rams. We hit a lot of teams.
Cleveland.
I just said the Browns.
Oh,
Unless there's another team in Cleveland we missed. We even brought up the Indians. Well, that they won't be the Indians after this year, but
I think that's so stupid.
yeah, I don't really want to get into that on here, but I completely agree.
I was watching I was watching South Park today, and it hit an episode in there, the one where Cartman's taking over PewDiePie, and it's in the Washington Redskins go fuck yourself Christmas. It's one of my favorite TV special names ever.
Oh yeah. Well, Jean just finally sent me whatever it is she was going to send me earlier.
Oh yeah, that picture of what Nana got her for Mother's Day.
That's it. I have the worst memory ever. So, also, we I don't really have that much else to say about baseball because like it's not like anything crazy to talk about at the moment. I mean, I think the A's are going to be one of those teams to watch towards postseason. I mean, I don't know that you agree or disagree because you said you don't talk about the AL very much, but I do think that that's going to be a team to watch. I don't think the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I mean, they might make it to the World Series, but I really think someone's going to be able to beat them in the playoffs this year. They haven't been unbeatable yet.
I mean, they start the season 10-2.
I mean, that looks insane, and it is because not everybody's like that. But I still think everything that happened last year. I'm just gonna come out and say I don't think there's a single thing wrong with that team. Like what this year would be considered a perfect team, their pitchers or whatever. But that's because their salary cap's like 3 times as much as everyone else's. They're paying for everything. But I think that the reason they had such a good run last year, other than, the salary cap being tremendously higher than everyone else's, is because it was a shorter season as well. They did well for a short period of time, and that was enough. This is going to be a whole, however many games, 160 or whatever. And that's like, I don't know if they can hold it that long. What if, someone gets hurt? What if they just get wore out? Hey, take it easy, Colin. Thanks for stopping by. But I just thinking, maybe Tampa Bay won't make it as far as they did last year because it's going to be a full season. And, that starts wearing on you towards the, last couple weeks before the playoff runs and things like that. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, the Dodgers might be a perfect team. But what if they start to wear?
Yeah, that's why talking about the playoffs right now is really far-fetched because teams, it's so hard.
Yeah, but everyone has their predictions, and like it's a good time to make good money in the sports betting world when you bet early, like right now, on who's going to win the World Series, who's going to take this division, who's going to make a playoff run, blah blah blah.
What's interesting about the Oakland A's that you brought up earlier is
I wasn't talking about the A's. I was talking about the Angels.
Oh, the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah, we were talking about LA, and so I said the Angels.
Well, I was just going to say the Oakland A's, I thought you mentioned them, so I was looking. The most interesting thing about their season so far is they've started their year 5-7, which is about average for most teams right now. They are 1-6 at home, but 4-1 on the road.
There's another team like that. That is weird. Most people do play at home, but they're still. I was watching Wyatt's video the other day, and he was ranting about baseball, and they're still going off COVID rules. Everything like capacity, all of that stuff, except for like their players don't have to wear masks and things like that. And so I think that might still be having an effect on home teams.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I think that might still be like having a lingering effect on home teams and kind of taking away some of the home team advantage.
But you're right.
But another team that we don't really talk about ever, that's kind of sneaking up there right now, is Baltimore, the Orioles. They're kind of being crazy right now. Like they'll be down 5 runs and come back and win that game by 5.
They're 5-8 right now, and they're last in the AL East. But that AL
But
East,
they just like turned around. Like they just flipped a switch. Like they're coming out of nowhere now. And so like if they can sustain the momentum that they have at the moment, I think they can make a serious run.
like I said, with baseball is that here's the thing: you got your starting rotation. If you can keep your starters healthy and your team intact, 162 games is a long time, and your team is going to change. You're going to trade. Somebody's going to go out for the season, and you have got to have the depth to cover them spots. And that's what usually determines who wins, who stays healthy. I mean, I know that sounds really bad, but who stays healthy generally wins in baseball.
Right. No, I agree. Because that's been a lot of issues with certain people. Also on the NBA side, because I cannot stop thinking about it, that Luka Doncic game buzzer beater with his toe on the line falling forward. That's insane. It's insane. And it wasn't even lucky. That's the thing. It's what he does.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. He split the defense with 2.5 seconds. He gets his foot down. He jumps for his shot, knowingly behind the 3-point line, gets lined up with the basket and shoots it up and shoots one in pretty well. That's not luck. That's talent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, right after I got off the phone with you today, and you said something about the whole luck thing. It showed up on TV, and the guy was like, "Yeah, this was not luck. Look what he does all the time." And like, I don't care if it's not luck and it's just talent. The fact that he keeps doing it is gonna keep blowing my mind every single time. And it's still, it's what he does, and it's still like good, and it still impresses every single time. That kid's a monster, and he only gets better.
Yeah, I right now I still think having conversation about baseball is one thing. Luka Doncic is putting up these kind of heroics and numbers that's going to make him a legend in the NBA. And watching him now, he's still growing. He's not even reached his max potential yet. And I think that's an interesting fact.
I think he's finally, it's only his second or third year in the league, and he's starting to mature as well. And that's why, he's hitting season highs in points and things like this, is because he's slowing down and able to see the game. Like the game he played where he hit that buzzer beater, they were losing at the halftime. He only scored 4 points, but he ended the game with about 30 and got the winning field goal or shot, whatever. And, he's like learning how to distribute the ball and not have to score 50 points in the first half to win games. He scored 4, but he had like 8 assists in the first half.
That's a good one.
But the thing about Anthony Davis, like, I'm glad because he's missed like 2 months, if not more. I just still think that Lakers team is like not good. like they lost LeBron and they lost Anthony Davis, and now they had a couple really good wins. Like they had a big upset the other night, which was like insane watching. But they have so much talent that's not those two guys, and they don't know how to utilize it without them. Like Dennis Schroeder is fantastic, but when they're not on the floor, their presence being there, it's like they need their dad to help them. Like they can't do anything without their dad. They haven't grown up enough to be able to perform without him there. So like it just says a lot about that team. It just says that they're not good, that they're getting carried by two guys.
Well, just to change the subject right now, they're not even the best team in LA, I don't think. The Clippers are on like a
the Clippers are
tear.
on like a crazy run right now, and like they were doing really bad. I like Kuzma too, but like the Clippers were like not doing that great the first half of the season, and it wasn't due to any injuries. I think they just finally got their chemistry back and started working together and just started like one after another, like just killing everybody.
Yeah, but here's the thing about the Clippers, and what I like about the Clippers is that they don't have what they say you need to have in the NBA to win a championship.
3-point shooters?
They don't have a superstar.
Well, they have Kawhi and Paul George. Wait, Kawhi's not there. Yeah, he is.
Kawhi Leonard is not playing.
Oh, then I don't remember where he's at right now. But they have Paul George.
He's not.
That's a superstar.
He's not playing either.
Oh, so Kawhi is there. He's just not playing.
Kawhi's on the injured list. He's on the inactive list, and Paul George is inactive list due to rest. But they've been on this.
Well, that's like every other game. They, like.
What I was getting at is the Clippers are on this tear where they're playing well, and they're doing it with second and third string players. Look at some of these names in their starting lineup: Terrence Mann, Patrick Patterson, Ivica Zubiak, Luke Kennard, and Reggie Jackson at guard. The only one I know is Reggie Jackson.
I think they're able to win games because they can play defense.
Yes. I mean, that's got to be a big part of it because they're rebounding and they're creating turnovers. But
Zach says Kawhi sucks and Paul George is choke lord. I mean, I was going to say Kawhi is one of Shelby's favorite players, so I was just waiting. That's why I laughed when it came up. I mean, I'm indifferent about both of those players. I mean, Kawhi is huge, and Paul George can shoot threes.
But listen, check this out. I know every inactive player as good players. Kawhi Leonard, Serge Ibaka, Patrick Beverly, Marcus Morris, and Paul George are all on the inactive list. That's almost a starting lineup, and they're winning with second and third string.
I really like Patrick Beverly. Like, if we're talking about people on that team that I do like, he's probably my favorite member of that team.
And you know what? And the other thing is they're winning without hitting 3-pointers.
Yeah, it's all on the board.
They were 7 for 29 from the 3-point line. That's 24%.
Oh yeah, I mean, free throws are like after you score a touchdown and you get your point after. Those are like the equivalent. Like you need those extra 1 or 2 points to win games most of the time, especially when you're being competitive.
Yeah, they shoot 90% from the free throw line.
That's impressive. That is probably the most impressive stat about them. Like not even their players, nothing like that. That alone is the most impressive thing, I think.
I'm just sitting here looking at this roster and how they're winning games, and I find it completely amazing.
Is that when Kawhi was on the Spurs?
Yes.
I was gonna say because I know that she's a fan of them, and I also know she's a fan of Kawhi. But the only team I watched before like this past couple of years was the Phoenix Suns when Steve Nash played. So that tells you how long ago like really I watched NBA basketball. Because seriously, he's the GOAT. Like I don't care. He's a white guy and he's a GOAT. And now he's coaching a super team. I love how Zach went from hating on her about Kawhi to this. But yeah, like I don't know, like Steve Nash is just like I don't know why he just holds such a big place in my heart in terms of athletes over like me growing up.
Go back if you decide you want to see something worthwhile to watch. Go back and watch his tournament runs with Santa Clara in the NCAA tournament on YouTube. Find some of them clips.
I mean, I've watched a lot of highlights, like just highlights of him because I was so obsessed with him when I started watching basketball. And like if I've ever been obsessed with an NBA player that's not Luka, it's him.
You know who he looks. You know who he looked a lot like when he played college basketball, and you're probably going to hate me for saying it.
Brady? Is that where you're going with that? Because if you say hate in talking about an athlete, that's the first thought.
As a college player and an early NBA player, Steve Nash's game resembled Steph Curry.
Oh, I like Seth Curry.
I like Seth too.
He plays for the Sixers, I think, and no one talks about him because he's not Steph.
He shoots the ball well.
Listen, Steph Curry's talented. I just don't like him.
They came from Del Curry, who was he was probably a better shooter than. Well, I don't know if he's a better shooter than Steph, but
did you watch the All-Star game, the 3-point challenge this year? It wasn't even fair that Steph was allowed to be in it. It was literally not fair. Yeah, here we go. This is what I'm saying right here. If I'm a Curry fan, it's Seth. And you have to really enunciate your words when you're talking about them. Well, thanks for stopping by, Zach. You came long enough to blast someone and then join up with them at the same time. And it's hilarious to me, but I'm glad you were here. But yeah, I like Seth Curry. He's talented. And you know what? You know how I've been ranting about this Charlotte Hornets team for a while because of LaMelo Ball, and I know you don't like the Ball family, but like I'm obsessed with him because he makes that team fun to watch. Well, now that he's hurt, I'm still watching them because like they're still doing well without him, even though he was mainly the reason they were doing so well once he started getting minutes. He's gone because he's broke his wrist, and now they got Cody Zeller playing more minutes. And the fact we were at me and Shelby and Sadie were at the sports bar the other day, and watching sports bettors are fun. Like it's not as fun at Belterra because there's not that many of them, but like over there was so many of them. It was a Tuesday night, and it was that sports betting place was full, and we just went for food, but.
You froze, did
72. Sorry, I froze. But that dude, like Cody Zeller, got brought up in their conversation, and he was like, "That dude's like 72." And I was like, he's only 28, right? He said, "No, he's like 72." He said he looks like he's 72. He's got more, or I don't remember what he said, but he compared the number of hairs on his head. Because he has hardly any. But, like, I just thought it was super funny. But, yeah, right here. I can't agree. I can't argue with that. Cody Zeller is, like, my all-time favorite. Is his brother still playing?
He's got two brothers.
Well, I knew one of them that was older was playing in the NBA.
And I can't remember all three of them. One's Tyler.
Tyler, that's who I was thinking of. And he's older than he's got hair on his head. That's what the guy said. And we told that dude, we were like, he's only 28, right? And he was like, no way. Then he looked it up and he was like, dude's freaking 28. And I was like, yeah.
Tyler, Luke, and Cody.
Luke, that's the one I couldn't think of, but I'm thinking of specifically Tyler. Is he still in the NBA?
Should be.
Because he was at least a couple years.
I'm just curious if Luke's still in the NBA.
Cody stayed all four, like until his senior year, didn't he?
Luke, no, he left after his sophomore.
Sophomore, okay. I thought he stayed, but I was probably thinking of someone else. Most NBA or most Indiana players stay.
Yeah, Oladipo left as a junior and Cody left as a sophomore. Both were kind of unexpected that year. Maybe even a freshman. My favorite Indiana player off of that round of guys was the oh my god,
Jordy.
Jordan
Jordy
Hall.
Hall. That's my
amazing.
boy.
He plays for Toronto.
I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I like Canadian teams, especially ones that have dinosaurs on them.
OG Anunoby.
OG Anunoby.
Yep, he was the real scrappy defensive guy. I like that.
Jordy.
Fred VanVleet is the guy that's on that team that's really tearing it up.
Yeah, they were talking about trading him, and I was like, don't be an idiot. Don't be stupid. You don't want to get rid of him. That is your team at the moment. Like, that's your money maker. That's everything you need right now.
I love Kyle Lowry, too.
Kyle Lowry is pretty great. I like that team. They're just not really doing very well. Another one was the Orlando. Orlando traded. I can't even say that guy's name right now because I can't remember it all the way. But they traded him to Chicago, and I thought that was like one of the dumbest trades this year. What's that dude's name? Yeah, she said it too, like just like that Bulls trade. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. It's so stupid. Yeah. Is that who it was? Jokovic? Yeah, it was. They traded him to Chicago, and now he's just playing really well because he was playing really well in Orlando, and everyone was like, whoa, he's so good. And I'm like, yeah, he was already that good. He was literally in the All-Star game. It was either Vucevic or Jokovic. I think it might be, actually. Their names sound the same, so it's one of them.
Any other teams that you want to hit on in the NBA?
Well, we only talked about Luka's game winner, but we didn't talk about their team.
I think they're on the uptick. I think they're going to keep moving up. I think they're going to end about a 2 or a 3 seed.
I wouldn't go that far. It depends on how far the Lakers slip. Maybe if the Lakers continue losing, but, their team's slowly coming back. I think maybe 4 seed, 5 seed is more reasonable because they're on the 7 right now, and Memphis is right behind them at the 8. And I think they said they were like 2 or 3 games behind them, and they're right behind Portland. And Portland's still doing fairly well. Dame Lillard always tearing it up, but it's going to be a task to catch up with them unless Portland can go on a losing streak. And I think if they can get past Portland, they'll be doing all right. I think they just need to make the 6th seed for me to be happy, so they don't have to play in the first round of the playoffs.
I gotta say though, and I haven't got a chance to watch a lot. I've seen more of Phoenix than I have Utah, but Utah's
still number 1, and it didn't help anything that they won like 22 games straight at the beginning of the season, and they just have such a high-powered offense that it's making them really hard to beat. But the Mavericks beat them the same week that they beat the Bucks, and that was like seriously like it was just a 2-game win streak, but that was like such an incredible streak for me. Like it made me feel good for them because they've had a lot of struggles recently, but they took off 2 of the top dogs. Milwaukee's not as high up as they normally are, but they're still a really good team. Giannis is hard to beat because he's 20 feet tall.
If you go into the West, Utah and Phoenix are leading the pack right now. The Clippers are coming on strong.
Yeah, as the Lakers are slipping, the Clippers are moving up.
Denver's still solid.
Denver, yeah, but they just lost Jamal Murray. He tore his ACL, and I think they might start. They still have a good team, and Jokovic was on Denver, and Vucevic was the Orlando trade. But yeah, they still have a Jokic. Yeah, that center they have, he's a monster in Denver. But they just lost Jamal Murray, or I think that's his name, and so I think they might start declining. But they could hold strong still. But they made a really good run last year in the playoffs.
Well,
But I'm looking for Phoenix to try to sneak up. They keep slipping and making mistakes and losing like stupid games to teams they shouldn't lose to, and so it makes me nervous about a playoff run.
But they're 9-1 out of their last 10 games. That's
high-powered. Yeah, they're doing great now, but like they went through a patch where they lost to the Timberwolves, who are the worst team this year, and I was like, why? Like Portland lost to them, they lost to them. I think Dallas might have even lost to them. And I'm like, why are all these good teams losing to Minnesota? And so that just makes you think about like, what are they going to do in a playoff series?
Oh yeah, you just gotta. I mean, like I said, if we touch on it every week, hit the standings and look at what's happened in the last week for just a few minutes, I think it you get to see which teams are trending which way. We don't normally go into the NBA because we don't really watch a lot of it. So
yeah, I definitely watch more than you do.
Yeah, I see some highlights and whatnot, and then I read. But I read every day.
But, A-Rod and some dude named Mark something. I don't remember his name, but I feel like he was some affiliate with something that had to do with Walmart. I don't know. But, yeah, I think it doesn't go into effect until, like, the next year.
Do you feel that Brooklyn runs away with the East?
I want to say that, but the Sixers are coming up, and I think it's like they played each other the other night, and it was a really good game, but the Brooklyn got beat up bad, and they had none of their starters. They did come back, but they didn't have KD, Kyrie, or James Harden, I don't think. Or they had Kyrie, but they didn't have KD and James Harden. They were missing 2 of the 3, I think. But I think Mark Lore, yeah, that's the guy who with A-Rod who bought the Minnesota. But I think it's going to be a toss-up. It's going to be one of those 2 teams who takes the number 1.
Yeah,
because Joel Embiid came back from that big injury he had, and so ever since he came back, because that they were in the first place with by a long shot, and then he got hurt, and then they started declining, and now he's back and doing better.
And that's the other thing. If you're looking for a team around 3, 4, 5 in there that's might be a sleeper to come back and win the conference, I'm going to give Boston some praise. I think they might sneak up there this year, and I am not at Boston.
They should. Yeah, they should. They've got the team.
Yeah, but Boston, Philadelphia, or Brooklyn are my 3 picks in the East to pull ahead and maintain. I can't see anybody else. I guess maybe Milwaukee.
Maybe. They've been very hot and cold lately.
Yeah, but that's the way they always are. They're hot or cold.
No, they've been hot and cold.
The West is just way up for grabs in my mind because even though Utah and Phoenix are riding high right now atop the conference, I don't necessarily know that that those are the 2 best teams.
I love that comment. I mean, I agree completely. They should win the East by a long shot, but they've been losing a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, if they get everybody healthy in time for the playoffs, that's the key.
I'm going to go ahead and drop this link because I'm sure Shelby wants to come up here and give her opinion because she is more basketball than me. But, I know enough now to get by. But yeah, the Brooklyn should without a doubt win. But the Philadelphia is such a good team right now that I wouldn't be surprised with all these like small losses they're having here and there. But none of their team has been like they've not had a full healthy team the whole season, other than I think they said 6 or 7 games. You know who I really like on that team that I feel like personally doesn't get enough credit because of their superstars is Joe Harris.
Oh, I love Joe Harris.
He's a great shooter. And I just think he's a great teammate to have, honestly. And he does get credit because he hits a lot of big threes, but like he doesn't get enough credit because he's surrounded by all these guys that are literally, the biggest names in the league other than like LeBron James. There she is. I knew it was coming. Boop.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh, nothing. Same old, same old.
So when we hit into the NBA, we hit your stomping grounds.
Yeah, a little bit. I haven't been watching as much recently just because of like my work schedule. I feel like I never get to watch a good game.
Yeah, I agree. I have a hard time watching NBA, especially once baseball starts because I always watch the Reds. But which team do you like the most in the NBA?
So I don't really have a specific NBA team, but if I had to pick, it'd be the Spurs just because that's who I was a fan of most of like my high school and college or whatever. I pretty much just follow Kentucky players. So
Well, there's plenty of them in the NBA.
yeah, so it's hard. That's why it's so hard to pick an NBA team.
That's true.
That's another player that's on that Philadelphia team, Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
Not that I know anything about his college career, but I just know because we watched the draft this year that he is a Kentucky player.
Yeah. He was all right. I didn't love him personally, but he was pretty good.
Speaking of the University of Kentucky, I think next year is a win or die year for Calipari, even though he's got a lifetime contract there.
Yeah, we just talked about that the other day.
I don't think they're going to tolerate that much longer.
I don't either. The fans will run him out before that happens, before they have more than 2 straight losing seasons.
They complained because all they had was one and done players. So he tries to recruit guys to stay for 4 years, a la Keon Brooks is a great example. It's a guy that he's going to be able to keep for a couple of years, which now he may lose the way I understand it.
Yeah, he's not one of. I don't know if he's one of them that stayed or not. I'm not sold on him though.
He hasn't went into the portal yet. Well, in high school, he was dominant in the state.
Yeah.
I mean, that year, him and Trace Jackson Davis that year were neck and neck. So if that tells you anything on
Davis,
how good he. And but the fans bitch about one and dones, and then so he starts recruiting kids that are going to be there for 2, maybe 3 years, and still NBA potential. And then that's a lose-lose situation there. They've let go of some really good coaches down there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, talking about the fan base is back to what I was saying about Pittsburgh earlier. That's another team that the fan base is exactly the same.
It's murderous.
And yeah, it freaks me out a little bit, like the way Pittsburgh fans are, but like Kentucky fans are the same way. And I'll fight any Kentucky fan. I don't care. Like, it's true.
I know a lot of decent Kentucky fans, but I'm in this group on Facebook and I mainly just follow it just to keep up with a lot of the Kentucky news. But God, you can't say one thing in there without being attacked. Like even if you're just being honest, like you could say, "Oh, Kentucky's losing this game," and they'd be like, "What do you mean they're losing this game? There's still 4 minutes left and they're down by 72 points." Like blah blah blah. Like they're like they can come back. And I'm like, what the hell? No, they can't.
I think the year that they lost in the first round of the NIT, I think that story says it all about most Kentucky fans. The Railroad Inn over here by my house had their thing up for the NCAA tournament. When they decided that Kentucky was not going to be in the NCAA tournament, they ripped it down and they put an NIT bracket for that. They had their bracket game up, and then Kentucky played whoever they played that first night. It was some other Kentucky school or some shit, and they got beat, and then they all stomped out of there and tore up, the place, and didn't go back for the rest of the tournament.
It was Robert Morris.
Yeah, Robert Morris. That was that, and that was like, oh,
I caught so much hell for that year. Like, just being such a big Kentucky fan, like everyone just ripped me up.
Yeah, that's like me right now post Super Bowl. I feel like every single day I'm getting ripped on. And I don't know how many times I have to say it that I'm not mad about it. Like, before someone's actually going to believe me. But, like, that's the thing. Like, like the whole Kentucky fans being petty. It's like they burn couches and cars whether they win or lose. And that's insane. First of all, you don't need to be burning couches and cars.
Yeah,
second of all, is it a happy thing or is it a sad thing? You don't know. You're burning shit. Like,
the point of it is, the point of it is that they have the best coach in college basketball.
I don't know. Rick Pitino with at Iona was a big favorite of mine.
Coach Calipari is probably the best fucking coach in college basketball right now. And
agreed. It's like Bill Belichick.
If they run him out, it's going to be bad.
It's a huge mistake. Personally, I love Cal. I've got to watch him coach I don't know how many times, and it's like a new experience every time. One of my buddies took me to a couple games with him, and we had like second row seats, and that was probably one of the greatest times of my life.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? College basketball, there's no better environment to go watch a game. That kind of goes back to Colin earlier talking about he likes the college sports because he's right next to U of L. He's right across the river. Mm-hmm. And there is no better environment than going and watching a basketball game down there at the Yum Center or seeing the Cardinals football team play like Florida State in the ACC at that stadium. It's pretty solid.
I went to a U of L and Syracuse game a couple of years ago. Well, it's a few years ago now. But the Yum Center, like, there's not a bad seat in there. And it was just such an amazing experience. And then I went to an IU football game, and I just love the college sports atmosphere. Yep. It's just so much fun. With that being said, I mean, when we went to that Chiefs game, it was like the same thing. Like, I think it's just
there was no bad seat.
That stadium is set up to be perfect to show up and watch a game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I literally it would be insane, like incredibly insane to be in Arrowhead at a full capacity stadium. And like, we weren't going to go this year because of COVID, but Shelby was like, you don't want your first NFL game to be like COVID restricted. But I am so thankful that we got to, be there in a setting that it wasn't completely full and insane. Like, it was more like it was real loud. It was still like seriously so loud and crazy, but like, there was no one in our face, for our first experience. I think it couldn't have been better. Like, I know that a full stadium, especially in playoff season, would be amazing and insane and change my life even more than this game has. But as of my first NFL game, I think that was like, it couldn't have been better. Like, I would have almost preferred it to be in that COVID setting with it, only 12,000 instead of 45 or whatever.
Yeah. Makes it easier to enjoy the game in that atmosphere, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of Browns fans around us, and it was so funny. Like, these two girls, you had to know that they were like the most loyal Browns fans ever, not like bandwagoner because, they just started being good again. And they would start chanting for like Nick Chubb or whoever. And these two dudes behind us were just mocking them. And I was like, I feel like this is what it's like to be at a Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game.
Definitely.
I was like, the only difference is there were no fights. Like, in Cincinnati, Pittsburgh setting, there would be a fight over that. But it was just so funny. I was actually seriously impressed by the number of Browns fans that drove all the way out there. And like one of the guys, I know he was from Cleveland because he was at the Pittsburgh playoff game because he was a meme that went viral. And he was standing in line with us when we were going in. It was the same dude. He was wearing the same outfit with the helmet and cape on and the little stupid pig thing. And
That's
I
how you
don't
know
know,
it was
like
him.
they made a meme. They were like, Kevin Stefanski, is that you? Because like he was locked in a basement because he had COVID. And so they said, Kevin Stefanski, is that you? And this whole meme blew up. And it was that guy. Like everyone was like asking him about it while we were standing in line. And he was like, yeah, that was me. I was in Pittsburgh like last week or whatever. And I was like, that's crazy. Like Browns fans are loyal. I'll give it to them. They're loyal. It's
true.
also the first time they've been able to go to a playoff game in how many years?
Long time. You know, I don't think we've got into this part of it right now. But if San Francisco does what they think they're going to do, what do you think
Mac
happens
Jones?
to Garoppolo?
Mac Jones? I think if they take Mac Jones, Garoppolo's going to play this year. They're going to just let him go. They're not even going to try to trade him. They're just going to not re-sign him and, let Mac Jones sit a year and then play. Either way, it's going to be shitty. I don't think any quarterback that they take, that Jimmy G will be gone this year at this point. Just because, like, if he plays shitty, they don't have to pay him any money. Like, they can just bench him.
Yeah.
So I think the smartest route for them, either way, there's no smart route if you take Mac Jones at the 3rd overall pick. But no matter who they take at that pick, Jimmy G will play until he starts doing bad. And then they will bench him and probably just cut him. Or just keep him just in case their rookie gets hurt. Like, I think that's what's going to happen at this point in time. Like, before, I was like, yeah, he's gone. But then the more I thought about it, I sat down and was like, I'm not just going to, like, assume all these things, and I need to really, really reevaluate my stand on it. And I think he's going to be their starter week 1 until he either gets hurt because he's become accident-prone lately or literally loses every single game until they bench him.
Yeah, I mean that, and what's his name? John Lynch. John Lynch, the general manager, basically came out and said exactly what you said about him being, an oft-injured quarterback. But they said that if the right trade comes along, that they would trade him.
Oh yeah, they said that, but they would take a number 1 pick for him. He's not worth a number 1 pick right now.
He might be worth like a 2nd round draft pick.
I would say 2nd round would be the highest draft pick I'd give up for him.
Yeah, he's about hit his mark.
He's becoming a solid backup quarterback.
15 months out of being to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's the reason they lost the Super Bowl. I mean,
100%.
Tyreek Hill broke Richard Sherman's ankles. Other than that, he screwed up that game.
Yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world in the NFL, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, you have to be real with everybody because, like, that's what it was. That's what happened with Sammy. They were like, we love Sammy. We want to keep him, but he's just a problem, so he has to go.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see
and I love Sammy. I'm a Sammy super fan, and he's not going to do well in Baltimore. He didn't do shit this past year. He had incredibly good plays that led to their Super Bowl run the year before this year. But, he's kind of like just there. He's there when you need him sometimes. He couldn't even make an appearance in the Super Bowl this year.
I might get my first Ravens jersey, though.
Yeah,
Thanks,
seriously.
Sammy.
That's my excuse to get a Ravens jersey.
Other than the fact that it's just purple.
Yeah, dude. I really want a Baltimore jersey just because of their color layout.
Yeah. I guess.
Wolfcat.
You know what? I'm going to be real honest with you. I was watching NFL Live, and the WNBA came on right afterwards, and I was just playing on my phone all day, but I 100% watched the WNBA draft today. I thought I was going to be the only one.
Morgan, I agree. I wish Indy would have gone after Sammy a little harder too.
I think they would have done. I think he would have done well there too. Like they did re-sign Ty for another year, But how many more years is he actually going to play? Like he made a point to stay. He said that people were throwing money at him, but he wanted to play in Indianapolis. So I'm glad he took that 1-year deal. But I think, with Sammy being healthy for 4 games out of the year, those 4 games could have been really, really good for them.
Watched it, me be hell. I can't think of anything else that I would want to watch in the evening more than the WNBA draft. The only thing that I found interesting is, what's the girl from UConn that can't? What was that deal? You know what I'm talking about? The one that couldn't go to the draft or whatnot.
Was her name Paige?
I think it was Paige.
Paige something with an S, maybe. Paige Sellers, is that right?
Sellier.
Hold on. Paige Buckers.
Booker.
I was way off.
You're thinking of Paige Spinarak, the golfer.
Yeah, you're right.
She's
Got
the
my
only
sports mixed up.
Yeah, she's the only Paige that gets national attention just because she shows her butt when she plays golf.
I was actually watching some golf at work today, so some women's golf. So that's probably what it was.
I mean, yeah.
Why you won't hear Paige Bucker's name called until the 2023? Oh, they must not have a one and done rule for.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Because they were arguing about that. The men's side.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. You back?
Kind of.
Yeah, I'm back. But they were trying to change the rule on the men's side, and there was a big ordeal. And I think Candace Parker was the one actually talking about it today, about the women's issue, and then they weren't going to let them go straight into the WNBA. And I don't remember what the stance was and what the issue was, but yeah, I think that's a thing.
Let's see. They took so the first overall draft pick taken by the Dallas Wings was Texas.
Yeah, she was from Texas.
Yeah, Texas took Charlie Collier. Let's see. Where did that Arizona girl end up going?
She went fourth. She was
three.
Three, yeah, third.
To the Atlanta Dream.
Yeah, that's what it was. I couldn't remember. The draft was like, the women's draft was almost longer than watching the men's draft because they talked for like half an hour after every pick. And I was like, oh my God, shut up.
You got to think though, like the women's draft, they don't have nearly as many players going into teams because there's not as many teams.
I mean, yeah, and it said they only played like, 20 games a year?
Mm-hmm. Not very many at all.
Yeah, because they said one of their records was like 15-7 with the NBA team, and I was like, yeah, that's just like not as exciting as it could be.
I'm not really into the WNBA that much, but the Indiana Fever ended up picking a West Virginia guard, Kiersey Gondrezick, who is expected to go in the second or third round. That's like kind of weird, right?
Yeah, that's a big jump.
Yeah, like from being the second and third round to being like a 5th overall pick, like I don't understand that.
I mean, I don't really know how long the women's draft is. Like, I know the men's is like pretty long because there's a lot more players and everything. But I feel like that's a pretty big jump.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there was a reason that she went.
Well, maybe someone. Well, it depends on what pick, because one team had 3 picks in the first round. It was like the first, the third, and 7th or something like that.
That was Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was the same person, the same team that took that girl. Because they might not have had the first overall pick, but they had like 3 in the first round or first 10 picks or something like that.
feel like I don't know enough about the WNBA to talk about this.
Well, Matt's the one who brought it up.
I know I was trying, but I feel like I'm just trying to read things.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I know, like, Candace Parker does reporting.
I love Candace Parker. Elena
It's like
Deladon.
seriously the only thing I know.
Let's just start saying WNBA player names. Let me just read them off. Just kidding. I know a few of them. You got like Sue Bird. You got Elena Deladon. That's it. That's all I know. Candace Parker.
I think Candace Parker and Sue Bird might be the only ones.
Yeah, Sue Bird.
Yeah. I'm just, I'm hardly good at basketball, let alone women's basketball.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
we're just getting you into basketball at this point. So
yeah, that's the basketball is just, it's so new to me. It's like the last like 2 years, 3 years at the most. Like the most I ever really watched it in the last 10 years was watching the March Madness tournament because I fill out a bracket every year, even though I know nothing about any of them. This year I actually tried and did horribly.
I did okay.
Well, shut up.
How did Morgan finish? I don't remember.
Better than Dad. Dad finished last. Oh yeah, Dad. The one that's talking in the chat right now is the one that was in our bracket thing.
Yeah, I didn't deem it necessary to go with the proverbial favorites. I tried to.
I didn't. I had Iowa winning, and they were a second seed, yes, but still.
Who did Morgan have? He had Texas. Is that who he had?
He had Texas winning, yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a stretch, but
Peyton got all 4 of them. I'm pretty sure all 4 of the Final 4.
You got 3.
You got still. It's better than me. My winner went out in the Elite 8 or round of 16. So did Dad's. Dad's went out before mine did, and that's all that matters.
I would have never. You could have played that tournament 100 times. I don't think you'd receive the same results.
Yeah, that tournament,
I loved it. I seriously loved it. Everything about that tournament I loved, other than that freaking half-court shot that Gonzaga had on UConn. That's the only thing I didn't love. But if I could change one thing only about that tournament this year, is they would have made Oregon play a first-round game. Yes, I'm salty that they beat Iowa, but I think part of the reason they beat Iowa is because they hadn't played yet in the tournament by the time they got to them. They hadn't, they've had an extra week and a half to rest over everyone.
They basically had like a first-round bye, which
exactly
doesn't belong in that kind of setting.
Yeah, I would have understood them having to miss a game if the team they were playing had COVID, if the tournament had already started and it was like the second or third round. But being it was the first round, the whole rule they made did not make sense.
Yeah, they should have just pulled Louisville in at that point and had them
Louisville
play.
Or any of the teams.
Like Colorado State. Like they could have pulled anyone.
Yeah, like it was the first round.
They could have even pulled like Michigan State back for another game. Like
yeah, right. It just made me. That's the only thing I would have changed. It would have made it more fair. Because Oregon made a good run, and I think I'm not saying they would not have had a good run, but like things might have been different if they hadn't.
I was still salty over that tournament. I gotta say, it burnt me up really badly. So I still feel like UCLA deserved to be in the championship.
Or UCLA, not UConn. I kept saying UConn, but I don't know why no one said anything. But yeah, UCLA, freaking Tiger kid, he is awesome. That whole team was awesome. But UCLA is the reason that Gonzaga did not go undefeated. They wore them out.
Oh yeah, they were the sixth man in the championship game for sure.
Yeah, they should have a notable trophy like from Baylor. Like Baylor needs to be thanking them because that game probably would have been different if Gonzaga had played anyone else.
To be fair, UCLA wasn't even supposed to be in the in the tournament.
Yeah, they
Everyone
were a
called
first
Michigan
four
State.
game.
Yeah, just look at
Yeah,
the
they were
Michigan
supposed to lose to
State.
Michigan State.
look at the run that they made to get where they got. I mean,
It was impressive, and they were one shot, like 1 second, one bad call in the last 10 seconds of the game away from being there into that game.
Crazy.
It's seriously like insane. I like that team. I hope they come back strong next year. I don't know who's gonna go NBA and who's not, but I hope they come back because it was so much fun watching that run in the tournament.
Yeah, I haven't seen I haven't seen necessarily all of the college basketball players that have declared for the NBA draft yet.
There was
I
one kid.
look
It was either
into that.
Gonzaga or Baylor. One of them. That's the only one I saw that declared
I
to
saw
the NBA.
So Louisville's top scorer declared, or not Louisville, LSU, sorry.
Louisville had one declared too.
Yeah. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, I just love that kid that played for him. He's just so talented.
Let's see. This was posted 6 hours ago. Let's see. See if there's anyone I can recognize in here. Gonzaga had the Joel Ayayi.
That's who it was. That's who I heard.
Yeah. North Carolina had someone. Armando Bacot.
This was like a historical thing for North Carolina this year, tournament-wise.
I was gonna say tournament-wise, and then their coach is retiring, so I don't know. Wonder how they're gonna do next year.
I got the list in my hand of underclassmen that declared for the draft, and the list.
Yeah, I
is
have a whole
long.
list right here. They're gonna focus. Nope, we're just gonna focus on the.
I wish it was in some kind of
order of anything.
Yeah, it's not in any kind of order.
Marcus Bagley.
You know what you don't see a lot of on this list?
Kentucky players.
But see, here's the thing. You'll find this probably the best point on this whole thing is, you know what you don't see on here is a lot of Kentucky players.
Probably Duke either.
Boston.
Terrence Clark and
BJ
Isaiah
Boston.
Jackson are the only two that declared. Oh,
So not to get off of the college subject, but I know you already know, but I haven't told Shelby, but you know what I've been doing for fun the last week.
What?
I've just been going through old draft classes for the NFL. Like, I just been looking through them, and like it's just insane because me and Dad got on a topic. So this was like a really crazy stat to me, and so any running back between now and 2011, so everyone that's been here since 2011, who do you think has the most rushing touchdowns since 2011?
I have no idea.
Out of all running backs or out of all players, Cam Newton holds the most number of rushing touchdowns, and that includes every running back.
Jesus. I'm not surprised though.
And so that's what triggered me into looking into the 2011 draft. The 2011 and 2012 draft class were both insane. What you doing, Dad?
That's what I was wondering.
You're muted.
Sorry, I was coughing a minute ago, and then I didn't unmute myself, and then I turned and stretched because I'm falling out.
Falling out, huh?
I'm getting to the end of my rope.
That's okay. I mean, I'm ready to wrap up if need be, because we're just bullshitting.
Pretty much.
Yeah, after I was in bed all day for the last day and a half, it's amazing. I thought I'd be wide awake tonight, but I'm not.
Okay, so it says we have 4 people in this stream. I don't know how many people that actually is. That's not us. Now it says 3.
I was gonna say I think mine's pulled up.
But if there is anybody left in the chat, I just want to throw this out there. If they have anything they want to see us talk about next Thursday, because the Thursday after that is the draft, so we will have to talk about the draft that Thursday. I plan on being on YouTube most of the day. I'll be at work, which is stupid, but I'll be on there following everything most of the day. But this next Thursday, we were kind of blank for this week, but I'm really blank for next week unless we want to do last minute predictions. But yeah. I mean,
Morgan, you really believe that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you really believe that? Because now, Lamar slowed down. I know he's still.
Bros.
I don't know if I cut off or not, but I think he slowed down quite a bit.
I just can't.
If he doesn't cop an injury this year.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Like, I'm just waiting for it because he's just so small. And some of these guys are out for blood this year.
He's got some chicken legs. And, one of their division rivalries, the Browns, Clowney and Myles Garrett both coming at him at the same time now. He might get a broken leg from that.
Could you imagine getting sandwiched between those two?
Can you imagine getting punched in the face by Aaron Donald?
I'd be dead. I would be dead.
Still can't get over that Aaron Donald thing.
That picture I saw was just nuts.
I think it's fucking hilarious.
I think it's the funniest thing I've seen in probably at least a month about football.
One, why would anyone try to fight any NFL player?
What about Rodrigo Sanchez?
Why would you fight him? Look at him.
He's cute and small.
Yeah, exactly. Like his little glasses and just don't fight him.
I love the Colts kicking staff. All of them.
Did you realize that last year Cam Newton had 12 rushing touchdowns in 2020?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the first 3 games, he had probably 8 of them.
Second most in his career, with the exception of his rookie season.
How many did Lamar have? Do you know?
I was just
pull that up.
I'm just curious. I'm not like
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'm just curious too.
Wolfcat, are you still in here?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, where's Matt at?
Lamar Jackson had 7 rushing touchdowns in 2012.
12.
He's got 19.
I would rather take a punch from Conor McGregor than Aaron Donald.
I think I would die either way, but I'd still say Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor's a little bitch.
I don't want to get hit by either of them, so therefore I wouldn't get close enough.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
If Conor McGregor was standing right here and Aaron Donald was standing right here, I'm not scared of them because, I don't think they just hit me for no reason. I wouldn't touch them, but if they were both standing right there, I would go up to Aaron Donald before I went up to Conor McGregor, which means I'd probably rather take a hit from Conor McGregor because I don't care about fighting that much. So he's kind of like to me, and Aaron Donald's like, wow, you're a badass. You're huge and you're a badass and you're good at your job and I love watching you play football. So like, I guess that answer could go both ways. I might want to take a punch from Aaron Donald, just say I did it because like there's certain people that I'd be honored for them to punch me. And Conor McGregor's not one of them. So if I had to take one and be okay afterwards, neither. But if I had to take one because I had to pick between them, I'd take Conor McGregor. I think Aaron Donald's bigger.
I can counter that. I would say that the punch from Aaron Donald would probably be less damaging than the one from Conor McGregor because Conor McGregor's paid to hit.
That's true, but he's also not paid to injure while he's hitting.
I have a feeling that if Aaron Donald hits you, it would be with some force, but not the exact accuracy that you would get hit by McGregor. McGregor would break my nose. Aaron Donald would dot my eye. I think I would rather get my eye dotted.
I think he'd probably get a jaw more than your eye.
Well,
I mean, look, that dude got his eye busted, but he probably took more than one hit from him.
Yeah.
That's
He
probably
probably took about 12 minimum.
If we're taking one single punch, maybe Aaron Donald.
Dude. Aaron Donald is huge.
I don't want to get hit by either of them.
I feel like Aaron Donald's bigger than Conor McGregor. I don't care if he's not trained to punch. I think his is still going to hurt more. No matter where he hits you. Like, well, okay, if I got to take a punch to the leg from both of them, I'd still pick Conor McGregor. I just think Aaron Donald would hurt more either way. Like, I think Conor McGregor could probably hit faster, but I don't think he can hit harder.
I don't know.
That's tough.
That's a great question for a fucking full live stream with like 30 people.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a lot of argument about that.
Mark would argue that one.
Whatever he picks.
I don't even want to hear what his opinion is.
Whatever Mark picks, I'm going to choose the opposite.
Exactly.
Where's he been? He hasn't even been in any of the streams.
Look, Matt shows up every freaking week. They work together.
Matt's a real one.
I mean, Matt has always been a real one, whether people believe that or not. So, yes, Matt is a real one, but Mark is also a flake.
What was it that he said? He said in the first one that he'd be here every week.
Just to argue. Anytime we talked baseball, he'd be here. We talked baseball for like half an hour at least today.
Now, you know what? He'd probably be here if the Cubs were 7-3 right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like the Reds, they'd actually won that many games. Like that, the Cubs have more losing streaks than winning streaks this year. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. That's okay. I'm totally cool with wrapping up because my schedule got pushed forward 2 hours for work tomorrow, so I got to go in a little earlier.
I have a meeting tomorrow, so I got to work on my PowerPoint.
Yeah, she's got a presentation tomorrow.
The world of working for Dale. All right.
I don't work for nobody. I'm a free bird.
Until next time.
Dog. Peace.